You stand in the vibrant streets of ancient Rome, lyre in hand, ready to enchant the crowd with your melodies. The life of a wandering musician promises glory, but beneath the music lies a world of wild surprises waiting to unfold. Welcome to ancient Rome, where music pulses through every corner of life. From sacred rituals to rowdy street festivals, your tunes as a wandering musician, or circulator, light up the city. Your days are a whirlwind of song and survival, blending raw talent with gritty reality. This is no ordinary life. It's a vibrant, chaotic journey through Rome's beating heart. Get ready for a tale that's as wild as the crowds you charm. You kick off life in a sleepy little town just outside Rome, where everyone's either farming or dreaming of something bigger. Your parents are musicians, strumming and singing at harvest festivals and weddings, filling the air with joy. As a tiny kid, you're already humming along to your mom's lullabies, probably driving her nuts with your off-key warbling. By age 5, your dad's got you wrestling with a lyre, your chubby fingers slipping off the strings like they've got a mind of their own. Fast forward a bit, and at 8, you're puffing away on a tibia, a loud flute that screeches like an overexcited bird. You're hooked on watching local musicians at festivals, their tunes sparking dreams of being a star someday. Your family's kind of a big deal in town, loved for the happiness they bring with every note. But you're not always an Angelone time. You sneak your dad's drum to bang on it, nearly giving the whole house a heart attack. By 10, you're strumming simple songs on the lyre and singing along, feeling like a mini maestro. You tag along with your parents to bustling market fairs, watching them charm crowds and picking up tricks of the trade. Once you drop your precious lyre and bawl all day, terrified your dad will ground you for life. Around this time, you start scribbling silly songs about trees and clouds, your first stab at being a poet of the strings. At 12, you're shipped off to Rome to train with a hotshot musician, a former slave who claims he once played for Emperor Nero himself. You're handed a kithara, a beefy version of the lyre that booms like thunder, and you love the way it makes your chest vibrate. Practice eats up 4 to 5 hours a day, leaving your fingers raw and your brain stuffed with scales and chords. Your teacher drills you on music theory, teaching you how to weave melodies that can make a crowd cheer or sob. You're not just strumming strings, though. Your teacher shows you how to spin stories through song, turning notes into laughter or tears. To add some flair, you learn to juggle a few balls, hoping to wow the audience between tunes. One day, you botch a keynote in a big song, and your teacher makes you scrub the floor as punishment, muttering about disrespecting Apollo. Still, you soak up every lesson, dreaming of the day you'll steal the show. Soon, you're tagging along with your teacher to cities like Pompeii, playing in grand theaters that make your hometown look like a speck. You pick up tricks for fixing instruments, like swapping out kithara strings or patching up a cracked flute. At 15, you're finally allowed to perform solo, and when the crowd tosses you a few coins, you feel like you've conquered Rome itself. You start writing songs about love and epic battles, and people can't get enough of them. Your confidence grows, but so do the challenges. You learn to sweet-talk rowdy drunks who heckle your shows. You travel far, sleep in dusty inns, and scribble new tunes whenever inspiration hits. One time, you negotiate a gig with a grumpy festival organizer, feeling like a real pro. Deep down, you're itching to break free and join a roaming band of artists, ready to chase music and adventure across the empire. At 17, you join a ragtag band of circulators, a lively crew of 8 musicians, storytellers, and jugglers who feel like a second family. You hit the road in a creaky ox cart, bouncing along dusty trails and crashing in tents or cheap, flea-ridden inns. Your group performs at massive festivals like the Ludi Romani, where thousands cheer, dance, and toss coins your way. You whip out your tibia flute on busy street corners, its sharp notes pulling curious crowds like moths to a flame. Life with the troupe is a hustle. Profits are split evenly, but some days you're lucky to afford a loaf of crusty bread. You learn to haggle with festival organizers, flashing your best smile to snag prime spots for your shows. One night, your group gets chased out of a town for playing too late, dodging rotten fruit as you laugh and run. You bond with a witty storyteller in the troupe, picking up tricks to make audiences roar with laughter. Every performance is a chance to shine, and you pour your heart into each note, hoping for a big break. Once, your troupe lands a gig for a fancy noble, and you're rewarded with a feast so lavish you nearly forget your hungry days on the road. Your life as a wandering musician has no fixed address. You drift from festival to market, chasing the next gig. Each morning, you're up at dawn, warming up your voice and tuning your lyre, the notes mingling with the sunrise. You carry a simple cloth bag stuffed with your lyre, flute, and a couple of worn-out tunics. Bad weather is your sworn enemy, soaking your instruments and canceling shows, leaving you cursing the gods. Some nights, you can't find a place to stay and end up curled under a tree, the stars your only roof. In big cities like Rome, you rent tiny, stuffy rooms that feel cozy despite the snores of strangers. You're always jostling with rival troupes for the best street corners, flashing charm to claim your spot. Once, your beloved flute was stolen, and you had to beg a loan to replace it, swearing never to let it out of sight again. You get good at reading the crowd, picking lively tunes for rowdy drunks or sad ballads for dreamy lovers. Your instruments take a beating, so you're often gluing cracked lyre bodies or tightening loose strings. You keep a small notebook, scribbling your travels with a quill, each page a snapshot of your roving life. One time, you caught a fever from sleeping in the cold but dragged yourself to perform, desperate for coins. Freedom is your lifeblood, the open road your home, but you sometimes ache for your family's familiar faces. You learn to pinch every penny, stashing coins for lean days when crowds are thin. Tucked in your bag is a lucky charm, a small token you swear keeps you safe through every wild adventure. Your daily meals as a wandering musician are simple, built around crusty barley bread, tangy goat cheese, and plump olives. After a good performance, a kind fan might toss you an apple or a small jug of wine, which feels like winning a feast. You shop at bustling street markets, hunting for the cheapest deals to stretch your coins. One unforgettable day, you're invited to a wedding and devour roasted pork so tender it nearly brings tears to your eyes. When you're out of the city, you cook over campfires, stirring up watery porridge or vegetable soup under the stars. There are grim times when gigs dry up, leaving you hungry for days, your stomach growling louder than your flute. You dream of drizzling honey over your bread, but that sweet treat is a rare luxury you can't often afford. You steer clear of garlic before shows, not wanting your breath to chase the audience away. A small pouch of dried nuts rattles in your bag, perfect for snacking on long treks between towns. You get clever, trading quick performances at taverns for a hot meal, learning that a good tune can fill your belly as well as your heart. You clean up at public bathhouses, where the noise and crowds rival a busy marketplace. These baths offer hot pools, cold plunges, and steamy rooms that melt away the road's grime, leaving you relaxed. Entry costs a single coin, but on tight days, you skip it to save your pennies. At the baths, you swap stories and ideas with other artists, the chatter as warm as the water. On the road, you make do with icy rivers or streams, shivering but scrubbed clean. You carry a strigil, a curved tool to scrape off dirt and oil, feeling oddly fancy as you use it. One time, you slip on the bathhouse tiles, crashing down to a chorus of laughter from the crowd. The scent of olive oil used in the baths is your favorite, making you feel like a noble for a fleeting moment. You dive into massive festivals like Saturnalia, where the whole city dances like there's no tomorrow, swept up in a frenzy of joy. At the Colosseum, you watch gladiator fights, your heart racing with awe and a touch of terror at the bloodshed. You're a sucker for comedic plays at the theater, studying how actors make crowds howl with laughter, hoping to steal their tricks. You enter music contests, once snagging third place at a small festival, your chest swelling with pride. When you're not performing, you listen to other musicians, soaking up fresh melodies to spice up your own tunes. During downtime, you play dice with your troupe mates, betting pebbles and bragging rights. You once tried chariot racing, but after nearly crashing, you swore off it, sticking to safer thrills. You love tossing jokes to your audience, watching their worries melt away with each chuckle. Street parties are your playground, where wine flows like rivers, and you join the revelry with abandon. You dream big, picturing yourself on the stage of the Odeum of Domitian, serenading 11,000 fans in a venue fit for legends. Your wardrobe is a vibrant red or blue tunic, dyed with cheap but flashy colors that make you stand out. A woolen cloak shields you from rain and wind on the road, your trusty armor against the elements. Your leather sandals take a beating from endless walking, splitting at the seams until you patch them up. A bronze necklace, a gift from a smitten fan, dangles around your neck, a little badge of honor. You once tried a feathered hat to look dazzling, but your friend's relentless teasing made you ditch it. Road dust clings to your clothes, forcing you to scrub them clean in rivers. A leather bracelet etched with your troupe's name adorns your wrist, a symbol of your bond. Tucked in your bag is a small silk scarf, a precious keepsake from your mother, carried like a piece of home. Every morning you lie in bed, belting out scales from high to low, warming up your voice like it's a finicky instrument. You scribble new songs inspired by wild tales you overhear, from lovers' quarrels to epic battles. Before every gig, you obsessively check your instruments, terrified a lyre string might snap mid-performance. You whisper a quick prayer to Apollo, begging the god of music to keep your notes true. You love plopping under a shady tree to compose, the rustling leaves making you feel like nature's your co-writer. To delight kids in the crowd, you practice little tricks, like rolling hoops, grinning at their wide-eyed giggles. You jot down lyrics in a notebook, paranoid you'll blank on stage without them. A small knife stays tucked in your bag, a quiet reassurance for safety on lonely roads. In your rare free moments, you sprawl under a tree, soaking in the chirps of birds and the breeze's gentle hum. You swap stories with fellow artists, trading tips, and dreaming of bigger stages. You wander to temples like Jupiter's, offering prayers for health and a bit of luck. Strolling through markets, you gawk at exotic goods from across the empire, each stall a window to far-off lands. You once tried sketching in the dirt, but your stick figure art got old fast. You pen letters to your family, spilling details of your adventures, hoping they're proud. From merchants, you pick up a few Greek words, tossing them into conversations to sound worldly. You daydream of playing for the emperor, a long-shot fantasy that keeps you strumming toward greatness. During festivals, you're a whirlwind, performing 3 or 4 times a day, exhausted but buzzing with joy. On street corners, you play non-stop, eyes scanning for coins tossed your way. Once, you performed through a downpour, water soaking your lyre, but you kept going, determined to finish. At noble feasts, you strum soft melodies, standing all night while the elite dine. You master the art of riling up drunk crowds, getting them to clap even if they can't hear a note. One time, a sour note earns you a tomato to the face, but you laugh it off, wiping the juice away. At a wedding, your soulful ballad leaves the bride in tears, a moment you'll never forget. In religious rituals, your music feels divine, like you're brushing against the gods themselves. You once joined dancers for a show, the swirling moves and your tunes creating pure magic, but not every gig goes smoothly. You've had to sprint from an angry mob after playing a tune they deemed offensive, your heart pounding as you dodge their shouts. Some musicians are slaves, forced to play for their wealthy masters, their talent chained to another's whim. Female musicians, though, are often revered, dubbed muses, and treated with a respect that makes you a bit jealous. You once played at a secretive ISIS cult ritual, the eerie chants and flickering torches giving you chills you'll never forget. There's a strict law banning late-night performances, and breaking it could earn you a beating from grumpy officials. A few lucky musicians strike it rich, owning swanky homes in Rome while you're still scraping by. You met a blind kithara player whose music was so haunting, it hushed an entire bustling market in awe. In theaters, a single wrong note can get you booed off the stage, the crowd's jeers stinging worse than a slap. Emperor Nero himself once performed as a musician, strutting like a star and leaving everyone gobsmacked. Plenty of musicians aren't so fortunate, begging for scraps when gigs vanish, their dreams buried under hunger. You witnessed a singer arrested for a cheeky song mocking a pompous official, hauled off as the crowd whispered in shock. Your life as a wandering musician in ancient Rome was a wild, unforgettable ride. You lived free, weaving music that lit up the streets and touched every soul who heard it, from rowdy festival crowds to tearful brides. Yet, you faced hunger, danger, and the sting of being looked down upon. scraping by with grit and a few coins. Your melodies sparked laughter, tears, and memories that echoed long after the last note faded. This vibrant, chaotic journey through Rome's heart shaped you, proving that even in hardship, your music was a gift that outshone it all.